Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bitcoin for Family show, where every guest is your new BFF. That's your Bitcoin friend forever. I'm Scott from SHAmory, and it's an honor to have you all here. Thanks to everyone who has been listening or watching. I hope you are finding the show fun and educational. With all that said, I'd like to welcome my guest for today's show. Our family has gotten to know him since his launch of Bitcoin trading cards in 2023. Over the years, it's been an honor collaborating on ideas together, as well as being able to call him a friend. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Alladan Flynn to the show. Welcome, Alladan.
Hey, how you doing, Scott? Thank you for having me.
Of course, thanks for coming on one of our initial episodes. When couldn't think of a better person to help kick things off and talk family life and all that fun stuff together.
Love it.
Well, before we dive too deep into stuff, let's kind of set the stage. Tell the audience, what is your family life? How many kids do you have? Their ages, just kind of high level stuff.
Three kids. So we thought we were done. We've got two teenagers, 16 and 18, and then 2020 rolled around and decided this is the time the world needs it more than ever. So we ended up having one more. So we've got a 4-year-old little girl as well.
Very nice. And I know we enjoy sharing stories since ours is 5 going on 6, a nice similar ages there. And it's a fun stuff. And we'll get into some more topics around that. But just like with our episode with Daniel, let's kick things off with some fun icebreakers if you're ready for it.
Let's go.
Okay. So every family's got a vibe. What's the mascot that captures the Flynn family spirit and why, if you had to pick a mascot?
If I didn't say Shamory Satoshi, my daughter would whoop my butt. So I would say that's a perfect one. My poor family has had to listen to me drag them through every Bitcoin conference discussion and everything you could imagine since 2016, Bitcoin all the way. My daughter's pink Crocs are sporting big giant Bitcoin charms on them, and her favorite stuffed animal in the world is Shamory Satoshi. So I think it's a perfectly fitting because we are little monsters, all of my children and my wife for sure, and myself included. So I think that's the perfect mascot.
Perfect. And we didn't pay him to say that. So
No,
that's
I
great.
did
And those
not.
watching on the live stream, you can catch one right over my shoulder here. And I do know Aladdin's telling the truth since I have seen pictures of his daughter carrying Satoshi around on a cruise ship and other places. And I believe there's a fear that potentially it was lost once. So those things can be terrifying for the kids and also the parents for sure. So icebreaker number 2, dads and parents in general have those classic kind of oops moments, whether it's spilling something in front of your kids' friends or bad jokes. Can you think of a kind of a dad moment that your kids love teasing you about that they find embarrassing?
There are way too many of them, Scott.
Your favorite one?
Favorite? I don't know if any of them are my favorite.
Their favorite one.
Their favorite one. Probably Jelly Belly Factory, and it's the Jelly Bean Factory. But the picture was, it was very unflattering of me in this Jelly Bean Factory that we went to, and we took the family photo together, and they call it the Jelly Belly picture. So everyone can figure it out from there.
Okay,
But that
gotcha.
has to be their favorite. I mean, when people come over and visit and they're looking at the pictures on the wall, that's the one that the kids are always taking them and pointing
A
at.
prominent display hasn't ever come down.
No, sadly.
You had to get a giant Bitcoin traded card, just put it over it and cover it up.
Yeah, that might help, but knowing them, they will take it down and blow it up just to get back at me. So
There you go. Make it even worse. Okay, the Jelly Belly story. On to lightning round number 3. Um, every one of your trading cards has a cool stat or power or imagery with it. What would the Flynn family card say about your crew that makes you all unique?
um, I think it would have to come down to just our comedic abilities with each other. We are a very fun family. We laugh and joke, and we cut on each other quite a bit. It's just part of our family dynamic. Because we homeschool and we spend so much time with each other all of the time, we definitely maybe spend a little bit too much time together because of that. So
There's no such thing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of family release that comes through cutting on each other. I mean, back to the last question. I think that's one of the dynamics that makes our family really fun, is we're very lighthearted in the house, and yeah, we're not afraid to tease each other quite a bit.
I think that's the sign of a healthy family, in my opinion. So I'm for it. Uh, Number four, with three kids in a business, the days are obviously chaotic, busy, homeschooling on top of that. What's the one meal that brings you guys together at the table that you know nobody's going to argue about? There's not going to be a fight about having to eat it. It's kind of that go-to staple.
So we've had a few of those over the years. I'm really lucky. My wife is an amazing cook, and I love to cook. We do competing quite a bit over that. She makes these enchiladas that are absolutely amazing, and that was the one for many years. But now she's on to Marry Me Chicken, and
Okay.
anyone that doesn't know what Marry Me Chicken is, you should definitely check it out and learn the recipe, because the name of it says it all. When someone makes it for you, you're proposing. So, marry me, chicken.
Okay. Marry Me Chicken. I'll have to look that one up after the fact as well. So perfect. And last one in the lightning round here. If you could trade places with one of your kids for a day, who would it be and why? And any particular adventures you would be looking forward to as being that role?
I would say my daughter, 4 years old, and the world is her oyster right now, and she just is a very very happy child and has a lot of fun. Um, my kids right now are at a homeschool event. We work with a bunch of homeschool communities, and she just has the absolute time of her life. And when she comes home, she's got a million things to talk about. So for sure, she's in the perfect age right now where nothing matters except for her toys and just her family and going out and enjoying. Where teenagers, I don't know if I'd want to swap with them now.
I don't blame you. I'd have the same answer. And actually, so that does it for the lightning round. And you brought up homeschool, and that kind of dives us into that next round of things. It's actually fitting that both of my daughters are at a homeschooling event at a farm right now. And so we similar type stuff. But circling around back around homeschooling, just to kick things off, let's take it back to the beginning. What was the genesis behind you and your wife going down the homeschooling rabbit hole and choosing that path for you and your kids?
So I was really pushing for it, God, since the kids were really young. We lived out quite a ways away from any suburbs or anything when we first really got together, and the schools out there were definitely a lot nicer. I mean, you're in some really small communities, and my youngest son was actually able to his I believe it was his kindergarten teacher was my third grade teacher, and she was my favorite teacher of all time. So in small communities like that, you really get a more tailored school experience, and it was actually really cool. But then we moved to more of the suburbs, more of a city situation. And right around that time, I was immediately trying to push more towards the homeschool as much as I could. But it was 2019. I was doing so much studying uh, on the Bitcoin space, but on everything at that time, um, going down many, many rabbit holes. And a lot of what it brought me to was a big fear of what was coming. I saw the writing on the wall and knew before 2020 that something really crazy was on its way. And that was the time I basically talked my wife into let's take the leap and get the kids out of school. It was already public school system, and more of a city situation was not good in many, many ways. So we were definitely tired of the crap and ready for it. But the more and more again rabbit holes that I went down, it was just saying this is time. And I give my wife, she's gets the majority of the credit. She deep dived into everything it took to do it. No charter schools, no anything. From literally having no idea where to get started and how to do it. My wife researched her butt off and took the lead and did an amazing job. And I give her so much credit for that. And I mean, we couldn't be happier with the way it turned out.
I know the feeling, and in a relationship, one of the couple always has to take the lead. Valerie did the same thing for us, and like you said, it's a lot of work. We're both here in California, so we know the similar hoops that you have to jump through to make sure you're following all the guidelines and all that fun stuff. So it's not a small task. But like you said, once you go through it, it's more than worthwhile. So definitely know those feelings. Was there any pushback? Obviously, your older kids had gone to the public school, like you had mentioned. Any pushback from your kids when you made that switch, or even pushback from outside family members? That can also be a pressure point. Just people questioning your choices there on that side of things.
No. So family wise, I've got a very unique family. So they were all the way for it. Kids, actually, same thing. My dad red pilled me very, very young. So I did the same to my boys and exposed them to a lot of things where I would be watching different documentaries and deep rabbit hole stories, and I wasn't holding back. These are things that I think the younger, I mean, obviously let your kids be kids as long as possible, but exposing them without hurting their childhood and making them too afraid of this world. There's a balance you have to do there. So I was definitely open to my boys. I believe in a good way for them to understand how dangerous everything really is out there, and the influencers and the people that you think are the best people are sadly the exact opposite of that the majority of the time. So they were pretty ready. And then the struggles in public school were huge, from learning struggles with teachers that just didn't care to uh, communication struggles with other kids, fights, and different things. That I've got two really nice kids, and inner public schools are not that nice. So they just didn't fit in the first place. So
Perfect.
they were more
That's
than happy. Yeah.
makes it so much easier when everybody's on the same page, on board, and sees the benefit of it all. So happy to hear that.
One of the last things, Scott, on that for
Yep.
people that like, how do I maybe talk my kid into it? Let them sleep in until 9 o'clock.
Yes.
And sleep is so important anyway. That can be the one that pushes them over. Like you can either get up at 6 a.m. and jump off to school, or you can sleep in till 9 a.m. And when you get up, and that's the greatest part about being homeschooled, is you have a lot more freeway to be able to do stuff like that.
Yep. We talk about that with Charlotte all the time, just except when it's like setting an alarm to go on a vacation or having an early softball game, something like that. It's wake up when you want to wake up, and figure it out from there to schedule your day. It is a very different way to live. Like you said, I remember those early alarms at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting there to it's still dark out when you wake up. It's cold in the winter, even in a place like California. Can't imagine like Ohio, where Mallory grew up, when it's negative degrees and you're rolling out of bed to go to another cold place. So yeah, that sleep thing can definitely play a major role, and it's can also help them learn, just being more awake and learning at a time of day when they are more apt to actually learn than be sitting back and being tired and not struggling otherwise.
Exactly.
Um, just kind of take it on a typical day by day experience. Every family homeschool is different. What's that typical day like for you guys? How has it kind of maybe changed over the past 5 or 6 years since you started it? And obviously, the 4-year-old is, she's just coming up on more quote unquote formal homeschooling, if you will. But obviously there'll be an age gap there. But kind of that typical structure, and how do you guys manage it?
Um, a lot of it is trying to find as many communities as possible to be able to socialize the kids and get them out. It's one of the biggest ones. I've learned just in business, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And your kids need to be socialized enough. And that's, I think, the big worry of a lot of people with their kids when it comes to homeschooling. They're not going to be socialized. The homeschool kids are the weird kids. That's actually the exact opposite, as long as the parents are actually socializing the kids. So my wife has done an amazing job of linking up with homeschool communities all the way around us. Lots of park days, lots of field trips. Um, Obviously, the kids will do their homework. Computer is the big one, sadly, but at the same time, it definitely gives us a lot more time as a family to be a family. I've got my kids in sports, and um, they're able to actually have more of a life outside of that. So our days are still incredibly busy, but they're a lot busier with activities outside the house, and yeah, socializing probably more than they would actually do in school, because in school you're socialized to a certain clique, and the homeschool communities, I mean, there's still, I've seen little clicky things, but for the most part there's not enough kids, and at the end of the day they all come together in the same class, different age groups, uh, different interests. So
Yep.
very busy, we'll just put it that way.
But
Almost
yes,
every single
definitely
day
very busy.
extremely busy.
And I'll second the importance of kind of those homeschool groups. No matter where you live, there are probably some around you. For us, there's tons down here living in a bigger city like San Diego, but it's also finding the right one. They all have their own uniqueness to them. You want to find people that you connect with, and I know for us it took some time to find the right one, but over the past probably 3 or 4 months, after experimenting in a few different ones, and once again Mallory very much leading the way, has found one that really has resonated both for the adults that are part of it, but also the Charlotte and Zoe side of things. And like you said, once you find it, there's no shortage of social connection. They have, if they needed to, activities 7 days a week that are going on in different structures. So yeah, if you're out there and you're questioning the social aspect of it, just log on to the internet, start doing some Googling. You'll find homeschoolers around you somewhere they're also dying to get to know other people too. And homeschooling, it gives you a lot of freedom to teach what matters. How do you weave in lessons on a range of subjects, especially when a kid has, different interests in learning, and, learning styles?
So I think I'm probably a little different than maybe a lot of people when it comes to this. Uh, I really think it's important to find that thing that your kids are into and let them really focus on that. I don't recommend this because everyone needs to do their own thing and figure out what works best for them. But for example, my teenagers, when it came to math, I told them like algebra one, and you never have to go beyond that. If you want to go beyond that, awesome, go beyond it. We'll give you whatever you need to do it. But most kids, most adults, by the time they graduate high school, you go back and you give them an algebra one test and they're going to fail. You give me an algebra one test, I'm definitely going to fail. So because they kept pushing and pushing and pushing to another level, you need to beat in the basics as much as you possibly can, because in life, these are the fundamentals that you're going to be using. And unless you're going into a field where you need that next level, you're probably never going to use it. And now with AI and the internet, everything is at a click of a mouse or the phone in your hand. So I think if we really, for me, if I really want my kids to thrive, it's letting them find that one thing they're passionate about and let them run with that. So spend 20-30% of the time on the basics and spend the rest of the time on whatever they're passionate about.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And we say all the time in our house, if they can read, they can write, they can do math, adding, subtracting, division. And like you said, up to once they get their algebra, that's going to be the foundation for everything else. And then let their interests go wherever it takes them, and they'll learn from there. And the having a home business like we do, and I know like you do, they're also going to learn from seeing the parents and activities and everything else along with that. So they'll learn by osmosis in some ways, and that'll also pique their interest into diving deeper in certain areas. And actually, on that end, being an entrepreneur and a parent, they're both full-time jobs, as we both know. Do you have any tips about how you make it work as a team with your wife for balancing out the work side, for both herself and you, and also the kid side, whether it's school or just the normal parenting stuff that comes along the way too?
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy one. You'd think it would be easier being an entrepreneur, but setting your own times, setting your own schedule, you have the excuse in a lot of ways to be able to take certain days. So you have to be very self-sufficient and disciplined. Uh, your relationship with your partner is key. Support is absolute key to it. Again, my wife does the vast majority of the work with the kids, with the schooling and everything. And there's days that I am incredibly busy, but I have to just turn it off and go and be with them wherever they're at. Uh, Try and do this as much as you can, especially as an entrepreneur, because we don't get to turn it off. There's many times maybe I don't wish I had a job. I'm working for somebody else, but there's times where I look at that other side and go, would it be easier if I could just come home and turn it off and not have to think about it? So try to find that balance as much as you can. And games are a really good one. Turn the phones off and put the phones away. I know it's really difficult, and it's difficult for myself as well, but just taking the devices, and we turn off the Wi-Fi in our house every night, and we try to certain nights turn it off before um, we're all ready to go to bed, obviously, so that even if we're together playing a game, the Wi-Fi is off, so the phones there's no need to even look at them. It's all off, and put your phone in sleep mode or whatever it is. But I think that's one of the biggest hurdles for most people nowadays is that disconnect from the family. It's due to not being able to disconnect from the internet. So as much as people can give that a try, the better they're going to be able to do for it.
Well, it's like you said, it's hard for any age to be able to have that disconnect. So, and then also, when we think about your 4-year-old or our, 5-year-old or younger, you want to be able to set the example for them. And if they're just seeing you on that device all the time, even though they don't have one personally yet, most likely, when they do get their own, they're going to emulate you. So, being able to turn that off, put it away, does set that example for the future for those younger kids, while you're also, like you said, dealing with the teenagers who definitely want to have those devices and be connected. Um, kind of, speaking about the kids and the company, whether it's, drawing ideas or sorting through cards or just asking questions about the company, how do your kids kind of interact with Bitcoin trading cards, and kind of what does that interaction mean to you, kind of as both as a follower, but also as an entrepreneur, to see them kind of be interested in whatever way they're interested? We know every kid is different.
My older boys, they come in and out on their interest. When they get to rip some packs open themselves and collect, they definitely have their little collection that they've been building on, and it ebbs and flows. I think it's really hard for the kids to want to. I mean, some kids they'll just jump right in with their parents and love what they're doing. But some kids like mine, their interest is really ebbs and flows. It's dad's thing. And probably the issue was me just being everything Bitcoin for so many years. They're just burnt out to a certain degree. My daughter is different. She loves the trading cards. When we came out with Series 3 and her favorite SHAmory came out, she's like, Daddy, that's my Satoshi and it's on a trading card. And she was so excited about it. She's amazing and loves it. Um, so I still have one really solid supporter in the house, at least.
There you
But
go.
at the same time, one of the things that we have to be careful of, and I've personally dealt with it, is there is a little bit of resentment that can come from the kids to a business that takes so much of your time. And even if they don't come out outright and say it, I would know as a kid myself, I would have a resentment towards it as well. So again, my kids don't tell me that, but I can imagine there's got to be a little bit of a resentment there for the fact that so much of our time has to go into this. So I think over time they'll get older, and when they get to enjoy it more, they've been stacking sats for years, but they don't get to touch it until they're a certain age. So it only means so much to them. I think there will come a point where they definitely jump in all the way.
For sure, and they'll do it in their own unique way for all three of them. And I do know in the last series you had one very special card with your family portrait on it. So I know that must have meant a lot to you. I had the honor of actually watching you open one of those, which was really cool to see. And I'm sure the kids, hopefully today, they enjoyed seeing it, but definitely down the line, being able to see that card and any others that are portraying your family in a unique way will be something that lives on for future generations, which would be super cool.
Absolutely.
And I know, in conversations you and I have had in the past, you've mentioned, growing up in a small town, and also starting other businesses, seeing, potentially government overreaches, or how those businesses, the dynamic has shifted as other competition has come in. Are there any particular moments from that stage in your life that kind of influenced your mission today, not only for Bitcoin trading cards, but as a father?
Without a doubt, I can relate to this one in so many different ways. I think the big one that's kind of on topic is the stuff that I went through in school, even in a really small town. The stories I could tell, it should be a novel or its own movie. It was pretty wild, to say the least. The amount of corruption, even in a really small town that I was in, and the disrespect that a lot of these teachers had for the students, and the horrible disrespectful things that they did to the students was on a whole nother level. So that influenced me, like just telling my wife very early on, I don't trust these teachers. I don't trust the principals. There are great, amazing teachers out there and wonderful people. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of bad that comes along with it as well. So I try to instill this into my children that it doesn't matter what age you are, just because someone's an adult, you give them respect first. Definitely respect is the most important thing, but if they don't give it back, stand up for yourself all the way. And I think that's an important one that few people are willing to do nowadays. There's the hierarchy, and you're not allowed to stand up to the hierarchy. It's been that way forever. When I was a kid, I was one of the only ones that stood up to it. We have strength in masses. And if you see someone doing something that's just downright wrong, stand up. And I try to teach my kids the same thing. I don't want you to get in a bunch of trouble and do the wrong thing that gets you in trouble. But at the same time, as long as you do it in as respectful way as possible, sometimes it's not possible, but stand up for yourself and don't let people walk all over you. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that I brought with me from my childhood, and seeing the things that I went through and trying to instill that in them.
Yeah, that's not an easy one because it can come in many different forms. Sometimes, even with people who are your friends, as a not even in a bad way. It's funny you said that just because I think about a week ago, Mallory was at a event with Charlotte and one of her close friends, and they were doing playing games with sticks or something, and they were playing awesome together. And then as 5-year-olds will have, they kind of start arguing about something, and Charlotte wanted one way, the friend wanted a different way, and then there's kind of the balance between how do you teach them compromise while also teaching them, like you said, don't let the other person walk all over you. And that's kind of just, especially when you're only 5, figuring that out, and how do you explain that to a 5-year-old as a parent is something that's not easy. And a discussion we had last week around, it kind of feels weird knowing what to say in those situations, and you don't want to make the other parents there. You don't want to make the other parent feel awkward with how you handle it. Yeah, so there's always things that'll come up.
Yes, 100%.
Is there an unexpected way that Bitcoin or the trading cards has brought the family closer together?
I mean, Bitcoin, to me, it's it's so much more than number go up. It doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you own or how hard you stack. I know that's a lot of the premise that we have in the space. Sell your shares, stack hard, buy the dip. All of that is great, but the most important thing that you can do is wake up. And that's what Bitcoin really gives you. Everything is follow the money for the most part. I'd say 90% of the crap that happens throughout the world, you can basically figure out why, where, who, how by following the money. So the more people start to understand how money works and how corrupted it is and how powerful it is, the more they're going to start going down other rabbit holes and waking up. So I would say this has been incredibly healthy for us, for our relationship. The more rabbit holes I went down, there was many very low times for myself personally because of how scary things are, but knowledge is power, and that you're going to have ups and downs, and I think it's really hard for a lot of people. Ignorance is bliss, without a doubt, but find the courage, because eventually after you get through all of the super disturbing hardcore things, you should find a lot of empowerment in yourself for being someone courageous enough to start to go down these rabbit holes. That maybe 5% of the world at the most is willing to take the leap and want to understand how these things work, you don't have to necessarily jump up and change your entire life and go and fight the power or anything crazy like that. Empower yourself, because the daily decisions you make for your family, what you eat, what your family eats, these are things that's so much more powerful than Bitcoin could ever be. It doesn't matter how rich you are, if your family's suffering from medical diseases and issues. And you can ask almost any Bitcoiner, what's one of the biggest takeaways you got from Bitcoin? It's healthy eating. It's how horrible seed oils are. And um, I, many things that I don't want to say on your podcast, because you're just getting started, and I don't want to get you demonetized or banned or anything that you could potentially have some great success with early on. But I think that's the biggest one. There is, it really helped my family to be willing to wake up to a lot of these things, and it's incentive based. At the end of the day, the number go up. That incentive is hopefully the incentive that gets you to want to learn more about Bitcoin, which again comes into everything else I was just talking about.
No, very well said. I think one of the most important things you said, kind of in the middle there, is having the ability to just ask the questions, whether it's about Bitcoin or healthy eating or homeschooling or whatever topic. Doesn't, in this case, doesn't matter. But you know, ask the question. Don't just read the headline, and then dive in to answer it yourself and do the research to get whatever answer you determine is correct for yourself. Maybe you start learning about one of those topics and you feel differently than me or Aladdin or somebody else, and that's perfectly fine if you did the research and you came to that conclusion on your own. And obviously that's a skill that we all would want our kids to learn, being able to critically think and have that answer for themselves so they can be confident in whatever decision they make for the topic at hand. And one of those topics that's super important to all families and kids is it's financial literacy. And how do you guys guide that kind of financial literacy aspect, navigating money, saving in dollars, saving in Bitcoin? What doesn't matter, but just kind of teaching financial literacy to kids at a young age. Is there a tip or trick that you guys use, or kind of a structure that you found comfort in?
Personal responsibility. As an adult, if you don't have that, eventually, doesn't matter how much money you have, you're going to have some issues. So teaching that personal responsibility to your kids, and it's a lot harder than I ever thought it would be. Teenagers are something else, but yeah, that's the biggest one right there. If you can really instill that in them, don't give them too much, don't spoil them too hard, let them go out and grind for it, and don't make it too easy. These are things that builds a work ethic in them from a very early age, and just letting them know that no one owes you anything. This is the big issue I think we have across the board. People actually think that socialism is a good thing. I mean, it's a good idea, I guess, but at the end of the day, there's no proper way of making it work. Someone is always going to get the bad end of the stick. It's not fair. And teaching fairness, I think, is really important. And that is personal responsibility, in order to understand why things are fair due to how much you put into it. So,
And luckily, personal responsibility is one that definitely can lead by example and just kind of live your life that way. And hopefully a lot of that will come from your kids, will come from learning by seeing you take that step forward in that sense. Last one before we head into the final two questions. Looking ahead, what's one hope you have for your kids on how your kids will carry forward the lessons of financial literacy and entrepreneurship in their lives as they grow up?
hope they really, one of the things that I struggled with in life is time preference, and just being willing to save and not have to have it today, and being okay with waiting for the right time for it. I think this is the biggest one that I'm really hoping for my kids, is that they are able to have that patience in life, and that's why they're not able to touch their sats. They really need to have that built into them, and it's a really, really difficult one. I don't think there's any easy way of doing that, but I think just that's probably the main one right there. I hope they're able to carry that on with them, and that'll help them with business and everything else. Nothing happens overnight. 4 years of working on this business before I ever actually launched it. And thank God I did, because the amount of ups and downs, twists and turns, and things I'm still trying to learn, it's insane. And if I would have jumped out right away and started, I highly doubt I would be where I'm at today. So I hope they're paying attention. I definitely talk their ear off quite a bit, and I try to balance that because that can be the worst punishment to a child of all. So, yeah, I just hope I'm able to carry that on with them, and I hope I know that they've heard enough about Bitcoin for many, many years through me. I hope
No,
again that doesn't deter them, because it's become something that maybe they again hold animosity towards, because so much of my energy has went into learning about Bitcoin. So I think I'm doing really good with them right now. As long as that continues, we're good. But never stop trying with your kids and think that, okay, this is good. I've done it. The kids are fine in this position. You have to continue no matter what. And number one is love. There's many dads out there, and even moms, that are afraid to give their kids hugs and give them too much love. No, hug the living crap out of them. Tell them every day how much you love them. Tuck them in every night, no matter how old they are. I go in, and my poor teenagers, and I tuck them in still. It's more of like a little battle tuck in at this point, because they're like, oh, come on, dad. But these are the things that really never stop that, no matter how old they are.
yep, no, very well said. I think low time preference and love are two perfect answers for that question, and ones that, if they're instilled, then your three will be in a good place for many, many years to come. So I'm sure that'll be the case. Okay, so we end the show with the same final two questions. First one, a common saying in the Bitcoin space is Bitcoin is time. Another belief is that time is the scarcest asset that the world has ever created. Playing off of that, what is the biggest gift of time that learning about Bitcoin has provided your family?
I guess especially with the business at home, doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter how big of a trip you're trying to plan. Just go and do it. And this might be sacrilege to a lot of Bitcoiners out there, because it's all about stacking, and never sell your Bitcoin unless maybe you're buying something from another Bitcoiner and you're spending it that way. And re-up. But I'll give an example. If you have some Bitcoin and you have the choice, because if you spend your Bitcoin, then obviously you want to go and stack that same amount and build it back up. But if you can't, and you have an opportunity to go and spend time with your family, and you have to spend some of your Bitcoin to do it, spend some of your Bitcoin and do it. Because again, time, that we're not promised anything. Tomorrow is definitely not promised. And holding Bitcoin for the long run and everything is all wonderful and great, but today is the most wonderful and great, because it's the only thing that's guaranteed. So I would say just learning to stop and actually go and use it. And a lot of people are saying use your Bitcoin. Well, if you're going to use your Bitcoin, use it on your family. Go and spend time with them and buy yourself that time so that you can go do that. And I'm talking to myself right now at the same time, trying to because I do the best I can, but the more the merrier that you can do that, for sure.
Nope, definitely. Time is never guaranteed. Take that vacation or take that day off or whatever it may be, or like you said, surprise the kids with a gift or the wife with a gift. Um, you know, it it can go a long way. And for our final question, if you had one Bitcoin to give each of your kids, at what age would you give them the keys and why?
That's a very hard one, because they could be super immature at 30, or they could be brilliant at 16.
Yep.
I would hope around 22, 23 would be a good age if you've done a really good job with your kids. I guess reason being, when you're 21, um, it opens up a lot of new doors at that point, and letting them experience those doors, if that's what they're going to do before they have the Bitcoin, I think would probably be really good. But who knows? You could have a 16-year-old that's just a built-in entrepreneur, and they're grinding, and They're already doing whatever it is that is making them profitable, happy, whatever it might be. So if I had to just pick an age without understanding where the child
Yes.
was at, probably like 22, 23.
Perfect. Well, um, that is a wrap on all of our questions. Thanks so much for being here, especially to start the show, kick it off as one of the first guests. It means means the world supporting the show and everything else related to Shamory. Everyone listening, you need to go follow Bitcoin trading cards, whether it's on X or any other social platform. Go find them, pick up some cards, go to the website. I can't speak enough for the quality of what Alladan is putting out and everything he's building over there. So please don't hesitate to go do that. Any final words that you want to say? I'll mention this will come out before Bitcoin Vegas at the end of May, and Shamory and Bitcoin trading cards will be set up next to each other in the Bazaar area, along with our friends at Panties for Bitcoin and Crypto Cloaks. So if you're listening to this, please feel free to come by, say hi to myself, Aladdin, and everybody else. But yeah, any final words from you, Aladdin?
Yeah, I would say support the Bitcoin businesses the best you can that are really putting in the work. Um, you could get into the miners. There's so many different things, but what you're doing, Scott, is bringing the fun, and we're trying to do our little piece of that as well. Anyone that hasn't checked out what you're doing, books are amazing, the games are amazing, all these things, but it's literally something as simple as that stuffed animal that has become my daughter's best friend that has got her interested in playing the game, got her interested in reading the books. And a lot of people may think that the stuffed animal maybe is like the most ancillary or not important of all your products for kids. I think it's the most important. So try not to overthink it in a way of what you would think that the kids would be interested in. It's kind of amazing how just one little character can open up so much. And as much as I like talking about my cards and what I'm doing, I honestly love what you're doing. Me and you have been some really good friends, 2.5 years now, and it's been amazing. And I'm hoping one day we'll get our families together and get the kids to play. But you support other Bitcoiners with whatever you can, and you don't have to spend a sat. You don't have to buy anything. Literally something as simple as being willing to make a comment and a retweet. It may not be for you, whatever the business is, whatever the product is, but we are up against a really big battle to get to the non-coiner world, the fiat world, whatever we want to call it. And for anyone out there listening to Scott's show, I really personally appreciate that. And I think we need more of this, more of on the level. It's the families that are going to do everything for us in the future. That's going to make this world a better place. The generational wealth is not your Bitcoin stack. It's your kids, and your kids will teach their kids, and it will continue to go on. And that's how we get to a better world. Fix the money, fix the world. Yeah, to a degree. Fix the family, fix the world. Now we're talking. So that's the main thing. I think people just need to, it's the echo chamber as much as possible. It's great to be in some ways, but try to branch out of it a little bit. And what you're doing here, Scott, is amazing. If anyone's coming to the conference in Vegas, come to the bazaar and check out what you're doing. And the biggest thing that you're going to see, you just said it, Panties for Bitcoin, Crypto Cloaks, Near One, all of us, we have this really amazing little community inside the bazaar, and it's a lot of fun. And you won't be able to miss us because really all of our booths is where the most smiles are at. And I will say that there's a lot of love going around. So yeah, definitely come and check us out. And I might just have a few of these extras lying around for you and Mallory and your daughter to sign so that people can come and collect your card, which is going to be really fun this year. We've been waiting to do this for a while. So
That'll be awesome. Very well said. Perfect note to end on. And like you said, come say hi, even if you don't want to buy anything. Just come introduce yourself or bring your kids over and let them get to know us and Aladdin and everybody else we're around. And we're biased, but we do, like you said, think the bazaar is the best spot in the whole conference. So you won't be bored walking through there and seeing what's going on. Well, that's a wrap on this episode. Thanks everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. And until next time, enjoy your time. Bye.
Hi, thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a good review. And buy your kids some stuff at SHAmory.com today. Bye. 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 Bye.